So I have been noticing a couple of trends lately. One of them bothers me. The one that's probably most obvious to most people is people are trading in their big street bikes for some knobby, tired adventure machines, and I think that's great. But the one trend that I don't really like is people like this guy being caught with their pants down. Don't be like this guy. So I wanted to talk about a recent trend that I have noticed as I pull out my specialty tools to do my tire repair and remove a valve stem core, which is essential when you're trying to deflate a tire. Maybe not so much always doing repair, but one of the things that I've noticed recently is the number of guys that are traveling around on dual sport adventure bikes, being out in the woods. Being out in the woods on your motorcycle and not having the tools that you need to not only repair your tire, but to even take the wheel off to repair it. In addition, not having the knowledge to do any of the above. And I don't think that riding a motorcycle in general requires that you know how to be a motorcycle mechanic. But when you're out in the wilderness, you probably should have some kind of training, some kind of aptitude, some kind of basic knowledge on how to extract yourself out of situations where you're going to have to walk your happy ass out of the wilderness if you can't fix your bike. And sometimes you're not going to be able to fix your bike. But yeah, I just thought it was something that I would talk about today. I have a non-standard spoon just because it's going to be easier and quicker. I have the spoons that I keep on the bike always, and I forgot I needed to get those. In addition to the bead breaker that these things are. Now that I think about it, I should have brought the smaller version, the smaller aluminum version, but I thought longer is better. I could deal with the weight, and I can. It's not that big of a difference in the weight. It's probably maybe twice as heavy. But the aluminum spoons are, I don't know, a couple 3 inches. I could probably get them in that in my tube. But breaking the bead on these things sometimes is the hardest thing that I do. Sometimes. And I've seen the experts trying to break the bead with their kickstand, and I've always been impressed with that. And sometimes sometimes the old tires come off the rim really easily. Sometimes, like now, they do not. And I have used just regular water from a canteen to break the bead. Whatever you need to get in there and put some kind of lubrication on that rim, anything helps. And in this case, an extra spoon might help a lot. Anything just to keep that bead from collapsing back to where it was. And the only reason I'm making the observation is that one of these days you may be in that same situation where you're out in the wilderness and you don't have the tools you need, well, odds are, if you're riding with me, odds are really good that I have most of the tools you need. But I may not have the tools you need to get your rim off your bike, or your brakes off your bike, or little bitty things. So if in that circumstance, it's going to be very frustrating for me as somebody that at least claims to be self-sufficient. It's going to be very frustrating for me that I'm going to have to go into town and get something for you that you should have on the bike. That's going to be very frustrating. And I'm just letting you know that if you're not doing it for yourself, do it for your riding buddy. Make sure that you have the stuff that you need. And the only way that you're going to know for sure if you have the stuff that you need is to do all this at the house before you leave. Don't think for a minute I enjoy mounting my own tires. Don't think for a second. And don't think for a second, in addition, that if I could go down to the store and pay somebody $10 to do it for me, and I've done it plenty of times. Cycle Gear is probably the best example. I think they still charge $30 to mount your tires. So the one thing they're not going to do, they're not going to pull your wheel. They're not going to do that. As far as I know, there's not a single store across America that will pull your tire off your bike. So all that's on you.
So I just really wanted to reintroduce the idea that you should be self-sufficient if you're going out in the wilderness, because many times where I have found myself riding, I may be an hour from civilization or more, and several hours from rescue. So I'm at the point now where I can't really reliably walk out if my bike is not functional. So I have to be ultra prepared now, and I think you should be prepared, because if you're not prepared, it's going to cost you a fortune to have somebody come in the middle of nowhere and rescue your bike. Things change when you go off-road. If you're on pavement, you'll find somebody to come pick your bike up. But once you start going off-road, it gets kind of hard to find somebody that has the tools to be able to get to you, number one, and the willingness to get to you, number two. And then if you do find them, they're going to jack you up, brother. They are going to jack you up. I mean, it really depends on where you're at in the world. But yeah, I mean, you might find some old country boy with a pickup truck and a ramp just happens to, just throw your bike up in the back and everything's fine. Yeah, I just pulled that 19-inch tube out of this wheel. This is the 19-inch tube that I got in Idaho in a pinch to put in my 18-inch tire, and it lasted all this way. And that is a Kenda Big Block that I've got almost 10,000 miles on. I really like Kendas, and the Big Blocks really performed well for me this time. The front, I think I only got about 6,000 out of that, but that's still really good. And here I'm cheating again. This is a bead buster that I'm putting on the tire, which is a cheat. I don't carry bead buster with me, but this is a particularly difficult tire. I knew it was going to be stiff before I even ordered it, and I figured I would try it. I'm not sure, unless this thing gets 15,000 miles, I probably won't get another one because it's ridiculously stiff. It's very similar to the Tusk tires we mounted on Richard's bike a couple years back. It's very, very hard and plasticky and not pliable. It's been sitting out in the sun here for hours, and the easiest thing I did was plop it on the rim here, and it just snapped right on, which I was like, oh, hey, maybe I'm going to get lucky. But usually that's the easiest thing you do, is just pop it on the rim here. And then I put a little bit of air in the 18-inch tube that I got here. I'm going back on what I've said before. I don't like heavy duty tubes, but with my experience, when that cheap little thin tube I got in California didn't make it across Idaho, I decided that I was going to go back and try um, the heavy duty tubes, even though they're heavy and they create a lot of heat because there's friction in there, and when you're moving around like that, it causes a lot of friction. I'm trying to jam in a lot of knowledge and information and wisdom for you guys that are maybe not have had the experiences that I've had, but I think it's really important to know what you're doing with your tires, your brakes, the little things. I'm not trying to get people to take the tools with them to do valve checks and adjustments, and there's no reason that you pull your head out in the middle of all that stuff. I'm just wanting you to do the bare minimum. The bare minimum, as far as I'm concerned, when you go off pavement, is tires. Period. You got to know how to get out of the wilderness with the tires that you rode in on, and you can ride out on a flat tire, but you're probably not going to make it very far, and then you're going to have to get a new tire, and that's if you don't crash. So, but yeah, I put a little bit of air in the tube. That's just my standard way to keep from pinching the tires. And these big, thick, heavy-duty tubes are going to be a lot less prone to pinching. But I still like to get them in the tire and out of the way. Those spoons can pinch a tire. I've learned my lesson. It's been a while since I pinched a tire. I had to actually get Josh to come over and pinch one for me. Actually, I think he pinched it twice. Yeah, and I think Luke pinched a couple of tubes recently. But yeah, it's got a lot to do with technique, and you just have to be careful. You got to know where the tube is, and if it's up in the well, deep into the well, no problem. And I'm having a hard time getting that the valve stem through. I had to reach out and grab a wrench to pull that through. Yeah, it's just a really very stiff tire, very hard tire, and luckily this is a rear tire. I definitely would not want to put one of these on the front, just because it would be really painful trying to get that valve stem to pull through. But here I am greasing that bead up with the bead buster. I'll leave a link to that down below if you're changing tires. I would like to think that there would be a way to carry this on the road, but I've always got soap when I'm traveling, so usually it's some kind of a shampoo or something, and that works okay in a pinch. But yeah, I probably would not. Yeah, I'm worried about taking this thing off the next time I change tires. Hopefully that won't be for another 15,000 miles. I've never gotten 15,000 miles out of anything except a car tire, so I'm not holding my breath. But I was really impressed with the big blocks. I'll probably go back with the big blocks. And yeah, I'm getting down to the point now. It's really painful watching this. That's why I sped it all up, because I'm really slow. But I'm methodical, especially when it goes to comes to the tube. I don't like pinching tubes. I don't like putting it all back together and then seeing the tire leak down. That's probably the biggest disappointment that you can get, especially putting it back on the bike. Everything mounted up, put everything back on the bike, and then the next morning you got a slow leak and it leaks down. But yeah, this is painful to watch because it was really painful to do. I wound up discovering a technique of putting one of the spoons in between some of the used tires over here, and that this was the hardest part, is just that hard bead, and it's all because I didn't have the tire pushed down into that. See where my hand was right there? I'm trying to keep that other side of the tire pushed down past the beads, and here I am. You see me trying to lock it into place, and after about the third time of almost losing an eye or some teeth, when it popped loose, I decided to put that extra spoon in between the tires, and once I figured that out, just like I just did there, everything went pretty quickly. And that's basically what you got to do. That's why it's good to have a buddy when you're changing tires, so somebody could put their hands or their knees on that tire and push it down into the well of the rim. That way you can get some of that tension off the tire. And then if you could just get the spoon up in the tire, here I am beating it across, and then it just pops right into place. It makes it look real easy. It's all about technique, and if you learn your technique, you have all your tools. Life is so much simpler and easier, even though I made it look not so easy here. But I changed a difficult tire all by myself without a tire machine and without a buddy. But yeah, a few lessons I would like to share with the people that are going on their adventures for the first time. You may not have a lot of experience. Do this in the yard before you leave the house. Do it with the tools that you're carrying on the bike. Otherwise, you're going to be without. And guess what? Most people riding around in pickup trucks don't have the tools that you need to fix your bike. So just a little bit of lesson. I hope that gets you on down the road. And thanks for watching.